right, so let's see if the audio is okay. Perfect. How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing great. I am Dork Radu and I am back with another daily analysis. As always, starting off with the Forex analysis. And to be more exact, we are going to start off with this beautiful AUD USD bullish setup that is running in some very nice profits as we speak. Okay, as we can see, both of the entries got triggered. Both of them smashed TP2. The first entry smashed TP1 and the second one TP2. And the first one is very close to TP2 as well as we speak. And yeah, a very beautiful setup. I'm really happy about this about this setup playing out like this. And I'm really curious to see if it's gonna run all the way. Okay, so the reason I took this setup is very simple. I saw a impulsive break towards the upside, okay, with this massive bullish leg. After the break, I saw that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap right here, lining up that was lining up perfectly with the point of interest of this bullish range. After that, I saw a corrective pullback and the rest was history. Okay, we faced a bit of drawdown, but now we can see that price reversed straight into profit and it's running very nicely. Okay. Next up, we have AUD CAD with a very similar situation. Once again, a trade running in some very nice profits as we speak on both entries. Okay, entry number 1 smashed TP1 and running close towards TP2, and entry number 2 smashed TP1 and TP2 as well. Very similar to AUD USD. The reason I took this setup, okay, I saw a massive bullish leg right here that broke structure and took price higher with impulsiveness because imbalance was left behind. I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with this bullish trader order block, and they were both lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. The daily was also bullish on the trader graph, and we can see that the pullback was also a very nice and corrective one. Okay, that's why we took the setup and the rest was history. Okay, like I said, currently this trade is running in some very nice profits, and let's see if it will manage to smash the last target as well. Okay, but nonetheless, it was a great trade. Moving forward, we have Euro USD with a potential bullish opportunity. Right here, we can see that we broke structure to the upside impulsively with this bullish push. Beforehand, we swept liquidity as well with this fake out. After the break, very clear to see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. 4 hour is also bullish on the trader graph, and now the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback towards my fire zone. Next up, we have USD CAD with a bearish opportunity. Okay, right here we have a bearish shift in momentum. We can see that we swept liquidity to the upside with this fake out, and after that we broke structure very impulsively with this bearish leg. Okay, we can see the impulsiveness because we left this fair value gap behind that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And now the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback. Okay, as per usual. Next up, we have CHF JPY with a bullish opportunity. Okay, right here we have a very textbook break of structure, very aggressive as we can see with this bullish leg. Once again, imbalance was left behind. Okay, we have this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. 4 hour is bullish on the graph, and now the last thing that I am waiting for is once again a corrective pullback towards my area of interest. Sobrano said nice. Hey brother, thank you. Thank you for the feedback, appreciate it. Moving forward, we have Euro JPY with another bullish opportunity. Okay, once again looking pretty similar to CHF JPY. We have a very nice and impulsive break of structure to the upside with this bullish leg. After the break, very clear to see that imbalance was left behind. We have this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Daily and 4 hour are both bullish on the trader graph, and now once again the last thing that I need to wait for is a corrective pullback. Next up, we have AUD CHF, yet again with a bullish opportunity. This one is looking pretty textbook. We had a liquidity sweep followed by a very impulsive break towards the upside. After the break, once again imbalance was left behind. I was able to identify this small fair value gap lining up with the point of interest. Right below it, we have a bullish trader order block as well, which is a good added confluence. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. And now the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback. Okay. GBP JPY with another bullish opportunity. We have a lot of bullish opportunities today, as we can see. We have a textbook break of structure to the upside. We broke multiple highs, which is a great added confluence. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. We have this very nice fair value gap lining up with the point of interest. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. Okay. Odd NZD coming up next with another bullish opportunity. Okay. We can see we have a continuation of this overall uptrend with this bullish push that broke structure and took price higher. After the break, very clear to see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap right here, lining up with the point of interest. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph. And now the last thing that we need to wait for is once again a corrective pullback. Okay. Moving forward, we have CAD JPY. I think with another bullish opportunity, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Right here, once again, textbook break of structure, very clean and aggressive. Imbalance was left behind. We have this fair value gap lining up with the point of interest. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. And now all I am waiting for is to see if we get a corrective pullback, because that is very, very important. Or JPY, once again, looking bullish with this bullish opportunity. We have a impulsive break of structure to the upside, okay, with this bullish leg. Imbalance was left behind once again. We have this very good looking fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph. And now, once again, the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback. USD CHF, oh, finally, we have a bearish opportunity at last. We have a bearish shift in momentum here, okay, very clear to see it. We have a liquidity sweep followed by a impulsive break towards the downside. Okay, after the break, imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. And yeah, now all there's left is for us to wait for a corrective pullback. Okay, GBP AUD with another bearish opportunity. We can see that we had a bearish shift in momentum. We swept liquidity right here, and immediately after that, we broke structure very impulsively to the downside. Imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest. 4-hour is bearish on the graph as well, which is great. And now the last thing that I am waiting for is to see if we get a corrective pullback towards our fire zone. Next up, we have Euro AUD with another bearish opportunity. Okay, similar to GBP AUD. Right here, we can see we have a textbook break of structure to the downside, breaking multiple lows, okay, with this bearish push. After the break, very clear to see that imbalance was left behind, okay. We have this unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest as well as with this bearish trader order block. Daily and 4-hour are both bearish on the trader graph. And now, once again, the final thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback towards our fire zone. Okay, and next up we have NZD/USD with a bullish opportunity. Okay, we can see that here we had a bullish shift in momentum, although price is overall bearish. Right here we have a bullish shift in momentum, which could mean that the price could start reversing for some time. Okay, I'm not saying this will go on a bull run, but maybe it will reverse and fill up this gap here, which will be very good for us, because from here, if it pulls back, taps us in, and then it goes up, it can fill this void and it can smash all of our targets as well, you know. But yeah, back to what I was saying, here we have a liquidity sweep followed by a very nice and impulsive break towards the upside. Once again, after the break, imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And now the last thing that I am waiting for is the corrective pullback. And lastly, for our Forex analysis, we have GBP USD with another bullish opportunity. Okay, right here we can see that we have a textbook break of structure to the upside, okay, with this bullish push looking very nice and aggressive. After the break, imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap lining up with the point of interest. Daily is bullish on the trader graph. And now, once again, the last thing that I am waiting for is a corrective pullback. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's Forex analysis right here. As always, if there's any other questions, you should reach out on Discord. Now I will go over today's metals analysis, starting off with gold, where we can see that we have a continuation of this overall uptrend with this very impulsive breakout structure to the upside, okay, with this bullish push. We can see that beforehand we also swept liquidity, which is a great added confluence. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the trader graph, and now we can see that we have this huge fair value gap as well, lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range, okay? So right now, all there's left for us is to wait for a corrective pullback, okay, towards our fire zone. Next up, we have silver with a pretty similar setup to gold, okay. Once again, we have a continuation of this overall uptrend. Right here, we also had a liquidity sweep, followed by a very nice and impulsive break of structure to the upside, okay. After the break, we can see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with the point of interest as well as with this bullish trader order block. Daily and 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. And now once again, the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. But nonetheless, two good looking setups for our metals analysis. And yeah, we'll end it right here. And as always, if there's any other questions, you should reach out on Discord. And now I will go over today's indices analysis, as always, starting off with US 30, where we have a bullish opportunity. We can see that we broke structure very impulsively with this bullish leg. We broke multiple highs. We broke this swing high here as well, which is a great added confluence. We can see that the daily and the 4-hour are both bullish on the graph. Imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. Right beneath it, we have a bullish trader order block as well. And yeah, now the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback towards our fire zone. SPX with a very similar setup. Okay, we can see that we broke structure very impulsively with this bullish push. After the break, once again, imbalance was left behind. We have this very nice fair value gap lining up with our point of interest. Right beneath it, we have a bullish trader order block as well. Everything is looking green on the trader graph, which is exactly what we want. And yeah, now we gotta wait for a corrective pullback to see if we get it, okay? And lastly, for our indices analysis, we have NAS 100 once again with a bullish opportunity, looking pretty similar to the other two. We have a textbook break of structure with this impulsive bullish leg. After the break, very clear to see once again that imbalance was left behind. We were able to identify this fair value gap, lining up with this point of interest, with the point of interest as well as with this bullish trader order block, okay? Everything is green on the graph as well, which is exactly what we want. And now, once again, as always, the last thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's indices analysis right here. And as always, if there's any further questions, you should reach out on Discord. And lastly, I will go over today's crypto analysis, starting off with Bitcoin, where we have a bearish setup running as we speak at around break even, at around entry price. The reason I took this setup is because I saw a aggressive break of structure to the downside, okay, with this bearish push. After the break, imbalance was left behind, okay, because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block lining up with the point of interest. Pullback was also pretty corrective, and the 4-hour was bearish on the graph as well. Hence why I took this setup. And like I said, currently running at around the entry price. So let's see how this one will unfold. Next up, we have Ethereum. And on Ethereum, I couldn't identify a new setup. Hence why we won't waste any time on it and move on to the next crypto. Because as always, whenever I don't see a setup, I just leave the price as is. I just leave the chart as is and wait for some fresh structure to develop. On Dogecoin, similar to Bitcoin, we have a bearish setup running as we speak at around the entry price. Of course, this one is running in a small drawdown, as we can see. Okay. The reason I took this one is pretty similar to Bitcoin as well. I saw a break of structure to the downside with this bearish leg, looking pretty impulsive. I also saw that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that was lining up with the point of interest. The 4-hour was also bearish on the graph, and the pullback wasn't too much of an aggressive one. Okay, that's why I decided to still take this setup. And yeah, we shall wait and see how this one will play out. On XRP, I couldn't identify anything new, and it's very clear to see that the price action is looking pretty choppy right now. Hence why there's nothing really to discuss about on this coin. And lastly, on Solana, we have a bearish opportunity that's waiting to get triggered. Okay, this one is looking pretty textbook. We had a bearish shift in momentum. We had a liquidity sweep right here, followed by a impulsive break of structure to the downside with this bearish push. After the break, we can see that imbalance was left behind because I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And the pullback has also been pretty okay, I would say. This hasn't been a aggressive pullback. Okay, that's why this setup is still valid. And yeah, we shall wait and see if this one will trigger today. Okay, and yeah, on that note, we'll end today's crypto as well as the overall daily analysis right here. As always, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the dark side. Take care.